What's up, my awesome people? So I just had 4 wisdom teeth removed a few days before the time of this recording. So if I sound a little beaten up, it's because I actually am. So go easy on me. With that said, I have made a video not too long ago reviewing some of the best iPhone cases that I got my hands on, and this is kind of a follow-up or a part 2 with some more awesome cases that some of you guys recommended I should try out. So here are 6 other cases that I think are absolutely awesome and worth checking out. I'll also share my personal favorite daily driver at the end of this video, so you can check all that out. And if you're interested in the original video, which had some great cases, I will leave a link somewhere here or in the video description below. Let's get started. First up on the list, we have the Caseology Athlex case. I gotta tell you guys, out of all the cases I'm gonna talk about, this is probably the most well-balanced case. It's got good production value, it's got good quality, it's got a good price point, and everything in between. Now, right out the box, you can tell this is a pretty simple case, but immediately I appreciate the overall look over here. It's got a polymer finish at the back with a rough texture, and then at the inside you've got a nice soft finishing here with a yellow tone, and of course you do have full MagSafe compatibility. Now, when you put the phone inside, it fits quite snug and it's secure. Now, the thing I love the most is that the lips here are of decent height, so you actually get a good amount of protection around the bezels, making it great for flat surfaces and somewhat uneven surfaces as well. But I also appreciate the fact that it's not too dominating, so it's not overly thick. It's really nice. The case has a more bubbly feel with a two-layered or two-tone design on the sides. Then when you come to the main side, you'll notice you have the buttons. Unfortunately, they aren't exactly plastic or metallic, so they are rubberized, but you do have a little bit of isolated motion, which actually provides a good degree of tactility, so the buttons feel quite tactile, which is very nice at this low price point. On the other side, same thing with the power button, again a rubberized finish, but since you have isolated motion, you get a decent degree of tactility. And then you have a small indent for the camera button over here. I don't mind it at all. I know some people like it being protected, but this protects it and makes it accessible. On the bottom side, you have a hole or cutout for the microphone as well as speakerphone grill, and then you have the Type-C port cutout as well, which is large enough for most cables to easily fit in. On the back side, you have this really nice rough texture again with a polymer-like finish, and I just overall think it's great for grip as well as feel. And then you'll also notice that the camera lips are actually quite well protected. They're not super high, but they're good enough for most flat surfaces and will provide you with a decent degree of protection, so you shouldn't have any issues there at all. Overall, I think again this is probably the most well-balanced case. It's got a medium degree of protection while also costing like a little under 20 bucks and just looking pretty nice overall. I love this case. Next up, we have a case that I first started using back in the iPhone 11 Pro days, and this is the Caudabe Sheath case. And there's a lot of reasons to like this case, but what really makes it a masterpiece, aside from the really cool packaging here, is the absolute lovely feel of this case. It uses a rough textured polymer finish all across the body. The result is you get this textured grip that's fingerprint resistant. It just looks great, especially in this blue color that I have here. On the inside of the case, you have a soft fabric finishing for some added protection, and of course full MagSafe compatibility. Now, when you actually put your case into it, it fits in tight, it's snug, it's secured, and what I love over here is that it again doesn't dominate the bezels of the 16 Pro Max here. It kind of blends in really well and actually complements it with that choice of color here. But at the same time, you do have medium-sized lips, so you get a decent degree of protection on most flat surfaces and even some uneven surfaces as well, though of course it's by no means a heavy duty case. It's a medium sized one. On the sides, again, that same rough texture kind of continues. I really like it. You do have machine cut aluminum buttons, really giving this case a premium finish over here, and you'll notice that you do have isolated motion for each button, which means you actually retain most of the tactility of the original buttons, which basically means pressing the buttons feels really nice. Same thing on the other side with the power button. Again, you have isolated motion, so great tactility. And then, like a lot of other cases, you'll notice you have a indent cutout over here that's not overexposed, and it has the camera action button over here as well. So, you get an open surface, but it's protected well enough in my opinion. On the bottom side, you have a cutout for the speakerphone and microphone, of course, and then you have a medium-sized cutout for the Type-C port, meaning most cables should be compatible. Going to the back side, my favorite part is the minimalist design. You can see there's some very subtle branding. That blue color looks stunning here. The rough text texture finish here is so nice. Like, I mean, it's honestly unique and stands out from pretty much every other case out there. You'll also notice a couple of design elements here, and then you have what I consider to be medium-sized lips around the camera lens. They're not too sharp, so they won't be great against, let's say, a lot of uneven surfaces, but on most flat surfaces, your lenses will be well protected, and overall, they look nice without, again, looking too dominating. The Caudabe Sheath case is a classic masterpiece if you like a rough textured finish that's fingerprint resistant, that looks nice, and has a minimalist look generally speaking. Another old contestant in the world of iPhone cases is CaseKoo, and if the flashy packaging on their Magicstand case is any indication of how cool this case is, well, that should give it all away. But anyway, once you actually open up the box and check out the case, the green color here is really cool. It's got a lively tone to it. It's like grass green almost. I don't know what the official name is for it. Anyway, it's got a frosted finishing inside out, and it of course does have full MagSafe compatibility and a couple of other practical features which we'll talk about now. This case does have a slightly more liberal fit when you actually put the phone into it, but it's still completely secured and it's well in place. You will notice that the actual lip does protrude inward, so it's a little bit more dominating on the bezels of your display. However, I feel like that green color really complements the black tone of the iPhone 16 Pro Max in general and gives it a very cool finish, and also provides a good degree of protection thanks to these medium-sized walls all across with the lips, so you'll get good protection on almost any flat surface and a little bit of uneven surface protection as well. Now, one thing worth noting is that you do have fully covered buttons or fully protected buttons on the side with a rubberized texture, which means your buttons will be scratch free. However, there's no isolated motion here, which means that you lose most of the tactility of the original buttons and get a slightly more mushy feel, which is a little bit unfortunate. Same thing with the power button on the other side, again, well protected, but you aren't going to get a whole lot of tactility. Now, you will notice, just like the other cases, you have a minor indent where the camera button is, and it protects it well enough. Again, you're not going to have direct protection on the camera button, but to me, that's been a non-issue, as it is for a lot of people I know. Now, you'll notice on the sides, you have the speakerphone and microphone covers, or sorry, on the bottom side over here, which are well protected enough. And then you have a nice large rectangular cutout for the Type-C cable, meaning that all cables should be fully compatible here. On the backside where things get really unique, you have a nice crisp frosted finish that's actually color coordinated with the rest of the case, and it looks really stunning in my opinion. And it has a more glazed finish with a little bit of fingerprint magnetism, mind you. Now, you will notice at the center you have the Magicstand, or the basically Magicstand 2-in-1 case. So what happens here is that you can take this thing out and use it as a kickstand in a vertical horizontal position for your phone, which is really practical and helpful if you like having a built-in kickstand. It also serves as the MagSafe ring for your phone, so you have full MagSafe compatibility. Now, you do have slightly lowered lips around the camera lens. I mean, they're higher than the lens itself, but they're a bit lower than I wanted them to be, which means that if you don't have this thing on a perfectly flat surface, there is a small chance you could scratch your lenses, so make sure you keep that in mind. But other than that, it's well protected enough. It has a very nice frosted finish, and CaseKoo generally makes very practical cases at an affordable price point. Definitely check them out. If you're big on frosted cases and you're looking for something a little bit more flashy, then Rebel's Gen 6 frosted case is your go-to choice. I've tried these guys in the past and they really are nice. Sure, the packaging is minimalist, but it's what's inside that counts, right? Because immediately you'll notice the frosted finishing all around on the entire case. It looks really crisp and clean. You of course do have a MagSafe ring on the inside, so it's fully MagSafe compatible. Now, when you actually put the phone into the case itself, you've got a very tight and secured finish. You'll also notice that the lips do protrude inward, so they do dominate the bezels a little bit, but because it's black in color, it kind of mixes in with the bezels, so it's not too noticeable. The added benefit, though, of course, is that you get a high degree of protection on uneven surfaces and even surfaces alike, which is a unique feature that isn't always available on medium-sized cases. Now, on the sides, you have the buttons, so unfortunately, buttons do have a plastic finish. I was hoping for machine cut aluminum, but the good news is you have isolated motion, which means the buttons are extremely tactile and very nice to use and press. Same thing on the other side with the power button. You'll notice again isolated motion, so you get a good degree of tactility. You also have some nice design elements on either side with the star shape, which helps with grip as well. And then you'll notice you have a indent for the camera button, just like all the other cases, which is comfortable to use. On the back side, or bottom side, sorry, you have a speakerphone microphone grill cutout, and then you have a medium-sized Type-C port cutout. Most cables should be compatible with it. Now, on the back side is where you have that frosted finishing. If you wanted a frosted finishing with your iPhone 16 Pro Max, this is the way to get it, honestly. It looks really nice. It's really subtle. At the center, you again have that MagSafe ring, which is almost introduced as a design pattern here. And then you'll of course notice you do have a medium-sized lip around the camera lens, which provides a medium degree of protection. So it is a little bit higher, so it'll be good on flat surfaces, but it's not super high. So if you need that added element of protection, you're not gonna get that over here. Generally speaking, the Rebel Gen 6 frosted case is such a beautiful looking case. It's got a more sportsy design. If that's something that's up your alley, definitely check it out. Maybe you're a baller, or perhaps you like to live life on the edge and you want to keep your iPhone as naked as possible anyway. So in that case, I gotta tell you, the Arc Pulse case is really kind of what you're gonna want to go for, as long as you have the budget for its rather high-end pricing. Now this thing comes in a very minimalist box. Literally, I mean, look at the box itself. Inside you have two major components. So the first aluminum piece or bumper goes on the top of the phone, providing coverage for the two corners as well as lips for the camera lenses. And then at the bottom, you basically have another one that slides on to the bottom two corners. And that's pretty much it. This is probably the most minimalist case you'll ever see. However, make no mistake, it has really raised lips on the top side over here, which means you actually get more protection on a flat surface than you would with a traditional medium-sized case, which is actually pretty cool, right? Now, of course, it's not going to provide you drop protection if you drop it at the wrong angle, but it does provide you general protection and also allows you to keep most of your iPhone in its bare naked form. Now you'll also notice the aluminum finishing provides a very premium finish on the back side over here. You'll also notice you have nice high lips around the camera lens, again providing for a ton of protection around that specific area, but at the same time letting you have your entire back of the phone fully exposed. Again, this is not a protective case. It's not going to protect your phone against scratches or dropping at the wrong angle, but it does provide minimum protection, like putting it on a flat surface or having it in your pocket, for example, without any other major things nearby. A very interesting and cool choice for sure. Next up, we have the Ultrabounce case by Casetify. That name is not an exaggeration. I mean, this case definitely scores pretty high there, and it comes in a slightly different packaging than the one you might get, because I have the gift box edition over here. Nonetheless, once you open up the case, immediately at first glance, it looks like a normal iPhone case, but then you'll notice the exuberant padding or protection around the top corners and the bottom corners, and that's of course there by design. Other than that, it's had a transparent design in that blue color. It looks very nice with those design elements. You've got full MagSafe compatibility. The phone kind of just slaps right into the case. It's tightly secured because it is also designed for protection. You'll notice that the lips are actually about as high as they would be with the impact case, so they're not too high, and they provide a medium degree of protection in that regard. But at the same time, that blue color really blends in nicely with the side bezels all around. Now, as far as the actual sides on the top go, you'll notice you have this extra padding almost that provides a natural bounce. So if you were to drop your case or your phone even, it's completely protected. You have such a high degree of protection, in fact, that it's pretty much considered a high-end protection case with some utility as well, thanks to the ability to add lanyards pretty much anywhere on the case. On the sides, you do have rubberized buttons. I was hoping for metallic ones, but unfortunately, we don't get that here. We do have a little bit of isolated motion, so you keep a little bit of the tactility, but not all of it. Same thing with the camera button and the action button, the power button. You retain some tactility over here, but not all of it because of the rubberized finish. You do have, again, two holes for the lanyard here as well. And then you have the camera button, which is exposed, but it has a nice indent protecting it, which provides a good degree of protection in my honest opinion. You do have cutouts for the speakerphone and microphone grills, which are clean. And then you have a large cutout for the Type-C port over here, which again should be compatible with most cables. On the backside, you have a mostly transparent finishing. You have some cool design elements that also probably help reinforce the rigidity of the actual case itself with the MagSafe ring. Now, you don't have to worry about the camera lenses. They're completely sealed, so you have a full covering around the lens area, which is not exposed at all, which means if you were to drop your case again over here, your camera lenses are completely safe and secure, so you don't have to worry about having a lip or putting on an uneven surface. it's the whole package in terms of protection. I highly recommend this if your priority is protection over aesthetics, and at the same time you want a reputable case maker backing it up. For those of you who might be a little bit more casual, you can always check out the Impact case, which is the more iconic series of cases that had all those custom prints. I've kind of, talked about that in a shorts before, but it's also a definitely, pretty cool looking case if you don't need all this added protection. I promised you guys that I would share my personal favorite case of all times for the iPhone 16 Pro Max, and currently that has to be the Andar leather case. I mean, sure, at first glance, it's like any other premium leather case. It has a tan finish. It looks really nice, but it's just how it comes together. Everything from the quality of the leather to actually, it being real leather, not that vegan stuff. You've got nice tactile buttons. And on top of that, you also have a ton of protection around the case, which is subtle, but at the same time, there to give you the peace of mind that your phone is going to be safe. And hey, leather ages like fine wine, so that's always a added bonus. Definitely a case, again, that I can wholeheartedly recommend, and one that I definitely would be comfortable using for the entire duration of owning this device. So guys, that's it for my collection of cases that I want to share in this part 2 video. Again, you might want to check out the part 1 video. There were some really awesome cases I talked about over there with all kinds of varying attributes that you might be interested in. I'll leave a link to it in the video description below. As always, if you enjoyed the content, make sure you hit that like button and sub to our channel. Again, sorry for the wobbly talking. I had 4 wisdom teeth removed, and my mouth is really sore right now. I'm impressed I got to the end of this video. So please hit that like button if you enjoyed it nonetheless. Catch you in the next one.